That's about 1/3 of you. What schools are you from?
St. John.
So you know Dr. Javier.
Yes.
Good for you. He's such a wonderful man, isn't he? Anyone else? Any other schools? As you know, there are programs at NYU and Fairleigh Dickinson. Let me make a few brief remarks as we introduce the speakers. One remark is that we're pleasantly surprised to have coffee here. Eliane Victoria is just a wonderful person here in the building who felt sorry for us being here on Friday night without coffee. So if you like, sign this, I'll pass this around in a few minutes. Sign this sheet and thank her. Just put your signature on it if you're a coffee drinker. Another thing, Dr. Javier may amplify this, but this is the 7th year we had a forensic forum here at Fordham. Because forensic psychology is such a growth area, the relation of behavioral science and the law, and this is only one of several activities. We had the court visit 2 weeks ago. That sheet there describes March 2nd. We have a session on psychologically healthy workplace, and the forensic division is part of that to talk about legal aspects of the workplace. In fact, New York State may become the first state to pass an anti-bullying law in the workplace, which is quite remarkable. And we also have next week Joseph DeMay, an attorney, to talk about the Genovese tragedy that occurred here in New York in 1964 and bystander intervention. So if you want to get involved in the forensic division, Dr. Javier, I can't point to him because he's not here, but
He was here.
yeah, he will be here and he has applications. A second thing is to introduce a word of welcome from Dr. Len Davidman. Many of you are, most of you are students, and Dr. Davidman is the past president of the New York State Psychological Association. Do you want to say if students should get involved in NISPA?
First, hi everybody. I'm a graduate of Fordham. I used to be here many years ago. New York State Psych Association is a affiliate of the American Psychological Association. Every state has a state association with New York State, and we have about over a dozen different divisions and over a dozen different regions throughout the entire state. There are 13,000 licensed psychologists in New York State. Most are not members of NISPA, but we take care of students. Most of us are students, we're all students, and we love students, and you, all of you, are really the future of psychology and other related fields. So you can go online, look at NISPA.org. You can see what we have. We have student affiliates. We're always welcoming students. We have people in academic areas that are on our members of association, and some very famous psychologists are part of it. Dr. Javier, well, actually, many people here are members already. You're a member. You're a head of division. She's a former head of many divisions. Dr. Carol Goldberg. Anyway,
We welcome students.
welcome to this event. I've been coming many years to this event. It's a great thing. You learn a lot tonight, and it's you will not fall asleep. So have a great evening. Thanks, Dr.
How many of you are students who are members of NISPA? Raise your hand. So you're speaking to the right folks. No one here is involved yet.
Alex Smith.
How am I doing, Bob? Anything before we introduce the speakers? For tonight's session, we envision it as a 2-hour session. The first part would be the presentations. We have 4 speakers who will each speak about 15 minutes. And they are very different in their approaches to law and psychology. And then at some point we'll segue and we can have an interaction. And from past experience, you folks have a lot of questions that would make for a lively conversation the second half of the hour. Let me introduce the 4 speakers. One who is not here, but she's on Skype. My sense is that we should really let her go second because the Skype is not working so far. And that's Tina Mashi. And she's a forensic social worker here in the Fordham University, and she'll be talking, if possible, about social work's role in justice reform, dealing with prisoners. But the first speaker will be Jeffrey Diskovic. How many of you recognize Mr. Diskovic from his past work? Not many of you, but he is a remarkable human being. He not only was falsely imprisoned for almost 2 decades, but when he came out, when he was able to be released through the Innocence Project, he helped other people to be released from prison as well. He has his own foundation, which is on your sheet there, if you have the program with you, the Discovich Foundation. And he often looks for interns, so don't ignore, don't consider making the most of it if you'd like to do an internship at this important area. And since his first presentation here 2 years ago, Mr. Discovich is now a law student at Pace University to use his training to do even more activist work. Let me introduce the other two speakers just to make things easier. And I'll shut this screen off if I can. Samantha DeMisa is a graduate of Hofstra University, earned her PhD. I met her because of Philip Zimbardo. She was very helpful to him when he came to New York, the social psychologist. And Dr. DeMisa is now with the Federal Bureau of Prisons, and she'll be speaking about assessing federal pretrial inmates. And the final speaker, Raphael Javier from St. John's University, the director of one of the outstanding forensic programs in the United States, will be speaking about training for forensic psychologists, the do's and don'ts of getting a degree in forensic psychology. I have to disappear for a few minutes to get the Skype folks so we can try to get the second speaker up there. But I think I covered everything. Professor Emmons will moderate the discussion later on. Mr. Discovich.